going. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab the link for everybody. All right, cool, cool. So there. Also post it in the classroom for students who can't make it at this time. All right, cool. Okay, guys. So today we're going to be getting into the bouncing ball. Um, very uh, very classic assignment for animators of all types, digital and traditional. And what he's going to do is just make a ball bounce across the screen. All right. So to get into something new here, audio on. Okay. And present. So you don't have to go flipping back and forth between screens. There you go. All right. Cool. And so okay, delete these guys. All right, so first thing we're going to do is that we're going to go ahead and import a ball. I mean, we can always make one. It's pretty straight up. You have your ellipse tool, drag and drop, and then get your feel the way you want it, get your stroke the way you want it. Right? But, we already know about that. So let's go ahead and let's find the ball. So I'm going to go on to internet. Already typed in ball PNG. And the reason why we wanted a PNG is so we can get some transparency behind it. All right, so find a pretty cool looking ball. It's pretty good size. I think this will work. Oh, this is even better. Let's see if I can download one of these. Nope, probably not. Probably not. Okay, keep looking here.
That gold one's fine. That's the one I'm gonna just import it. Okay.
This one? Okay,
Yeah, that one works fine.
nice, nice. Okay, let's save it to my desktop for now. Cool, appreciate that. Okay, and then go back into After Effects and import it. So right clicking here, come down to Import File, navigate to my desktop, and the ball I just downloaded, bottom here, import, awesome. Drag and drop.
Any specific composition settings?
Well, no, the standard composition settings. So composition, um, naming convention, we'll say bouncing ball for the nature of the project in version 1. And everything else is standard. So 1080 by 24, so 24 frames. And we'll say the length, we'll keep it at 2 minutes. That'll be fine.
What do we want to draw a ball? Do we have to import a picture or can we draw one ourselves if we want?
No, import. Import
Import.
a PNG.
Okay.
Okay. So once I have the ball in here, it's going to be traveling pretty far. So I'm going to downsize it a little bit. I'm pressing hold shift so I can constrain the proportions. So keep it pretty small, right about here. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and draw a ground plane. So I'm going to click off here. Make sure my layer's deselected. Come up to my shape tool. Go to press and hold. Go to the rectangle tool. Zoom out a little bit and just draw a rectangle at the very bottom here. All right, and this one, excuse me, I'm going to come down here to my layer, hit enter to rename it, and just call this ground. And then with my ground selected, change up the fill, something appropriate here. And turn off my stroke. I don't need that. So stroke options, which is the blue stroke word. Click on that, get my stroke options, and then I can turn off my stroke. Right, click off, take a look. That looks good so far. All right, now that my ball is in place here, I can proceed to animate it up and down, up and down. So that's just position for right now. So we're gonna come down here, ball layer. I'm gonna go ahead and rename that. Let's call it ball. So underneath ball, I'm going to transform. The shortcut is also just selecting your layer and hitting P key. It brings up position all by itself. It's helpful to know because after a while, when we get so many layers in the composition, it might get kind of cluttered. You have to open up all the transforms for one layer, and then when working with between two different layers, it can really eat up a lot of space really quickly. All right, so got my position down. All right, and so this process is the same way every time when animating. And make sure your time slider is in place first. So I want it to start in the beginning here. And then make sure your ball is in position. So it's just going to drop down and then sort of come to a rest here. Maybe even bounce off the side here. Okay, so time slider, position, and then for this first one, we're going to hit our stopwatch right here next to position to start our keyframe process. All right. So next, I'm going to bring it down. You can always reposition the keyframes later for timing. Right now, we just want to make sure our position is all set up. So I'm going to bring it down here. Bring the ball position to the ground. Actually, it's going to go a little bit lower to the ground because we're going to be messing with squashing and stretching. Right, it adds a little more believability to an animation. Put it right about there. Okay, and it automatically places keyframe for me. And then repeat this process until we've gotten, let's say, 1, 2, about 3 or 4 bounces there. All right, any questions so far?
No.
I got a question.
So,
The keyframe part for the ball, what was that at?
so yeah, it's underneath ball. So you can either go into your transforms underneath there, or just hit P to bring up position.
Oh, so it's position. I thought it was anchor point.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just moving in 5-second increments for
How was
now.
that? Sorry, how is that line showing up as well?
This is the motion path. So once you turn on your clock, it should show up. Now, if it's not showing up, then we can hit this button right here. Let me toggle it for you. If not, then that begins the troubleshooting process.
I got it.
Got it? Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So just diminishing bounces. And again, since we have a motion path, we can always edit this later on. All right, and then just to take a preview, go back to the beginning and hit spacebar. All right, so
It's going slow because it's rendering, right?
well, that and also there's way too much frames in between each keyframe.
Got you. I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
and something as simple as this is it's pretty easy to render out. So this is pretty much real time, and I believe it's in your preview panel up here. It'll tell you whether or not it's real time. So info. Gotcha. Okay, so underneath info, it'll tell you whether or not it's lagging or playing in real time. So I've got adjusted preview settings here. So if I can do, sure I got the right frames per second here. Let's get 0 frames. Quarter resolution is fine. Yeah, so it tells me an info panel, the very top on the right here. If it's chugging
Right.
along, it'll give you a red signal. So it's not real time. It'll tell you the frame per rate that it's struggling with, frames per second that it's struggling with.
I see. Okay.
Okay, so that's good. That's good. We got our position in. Needs a couple of tweaks here and there. Best way to make sure your position is okay is just scrubbing through. So that's just clicking and dragging your time slider back and forth. And it gives you a very quick, very good idea of what kind of movement you're dealing with. All right, cool. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start adjusting this motion path a little bit. Right now, the values here, there's more of a spike than a smooth curve. So what I can do here is press and hold Control and Alt, and click on that bottom point right there. That'll give me the spike I'm looking for as it bounces back up in the air. And then I can do that for each one.
Would that be the same buttons for a Mac too?
Oh goodness. I believe it's Command. Mac has Alt, right? Use Command and Alt. So give it a try. So we're looking for this upside down V. It's your control vertex tool. So maybe Command Alt there. Is it working for you?
Yes, sir. I got it.
Yeah, awesome. All right, cool. And then some bounce right here. Cool. Next, we can start adjusting the peaks here. So go right on here, we'll grab this tangent, stretch out either side, make it a little more rounded. Round it and then flatten it out. We'll do that for each peak here. And then if you need to, you can also move them a little bit, and that changes up the position on that keyframe.
Question marks. I
Yes,
got the
sir.
curves on top. The peaks at the bottom, so it's Control V. That's paste for to get the spikes.
The spikes, no, Control Alt, and then click
Control
on
Alt.
the valleys.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Right, just tweaking here a little bit further. You have to zoom in. It's fine. Press and hold spacebar to pan around. Zoom in using a mouse wheel. All right, cool. Cool. All right. Anybody still working with adjusting the motion path?
I'm just watching for now.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So next step, we can start adjusting the speed a little bit here. So that it requires rearranging these keyframes a little bit. Now this requires that artistic eye, sort of knowing where and how these keyframes should be on timing. Right? There's mathematical equations that can figure out the whole thing, and of course there's physics and certain engines and stuff like that. But just keep it simple. We can eyeball this as well. So obviously it's already too slow when we just play it at real time. So that means in between each of these keyframes, there's way too many frames. It's trying to play way too many. So we just need to remove those in between keyframes, which means moving these keyframes closer together. Now, if I remember correctly, what we can do is we can select all these keyframes here. Move this keypad panel out of the way. Press Alt. Yeah, if we press Alt and select that last keyframe, you can bring it in and shrink it without moving, oh, without moving any of these keyframes out of order or out of proportion with one another.
Sorry, could you repeat that last part?
So yeah, so we're just making it faster. So make the whole thing faster. I'm gonna select all the keyframes in our timeline. Press and hold Alt and click and drag that last keyframe.
Oh,
That'll make the whole thing faster. And then if we go in the other direction, it makes it slower.
so would this be like the traditional way to animate things to like space them out and then shorten them?
Right, right. Yeah, so you're gonna get your position first, and then get your timing, and then we can go in and do secondary things like your scaling and rotating.
Okay.
Alright, so yeah, definitely smaller. Maybe even smaller. Okay. Then to adjust your view on the timeline here, come down here to these mountain icons. Just slide it to the right. I'll magnify everything for you. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to find something that's too fast, then just look for a good average in between. There we go. Okay. Let's this out. Alright. Okay, so it's a little better. It's still choppy and weird. So there's a couple other things we can do with this is so for yeah, we'll work with the peaks first. Okay, so for the peaks, you can go in here and apply a ease in and ease out. So to do that, I'm going to select the keyframe, right click on top of it, go to keyframe assistant right here, and do easy ease. So what that does, it adjusts the acceleration at that point, so it would hang in the air a little longer. As you can see, your keyframe changes from a diamond icon to something like an hourglass. just going to go through and do that for each peak here. We're getting there. A little more natural. One thing I noticed is that it's moving a little too fast. It bounces off the wall here. So I'm just going to grab this one keyframe and just drag it out. Make it go a little slower.
I feel like putting easy ease on the peaks on mine looks different from yours. Like mine looks like it's more like hanging in the air too long, and yours looks a little smoother. I'm not sure why that is.
Well, okay. So if hanging in the air a little bit too long,
Mhm.
we can always subtract frames. Subtract a couple of frames from there. So you go in and
Okay,
just add frames in between each of the easing keyframes. Later on, we're going to learn about the graphic design, graphic editor, where we can just adjust the speed um, manually, and that'll help out a lot more. But just keep it simple for this one. Just add frames in as needed. So to add frames in, it's the same thing. We just grab all the keyframes here, and we can drag them out just a little bit if we need more frames in there.
gotcha.
And up there. Again, I can always go back and tighten up some of these peaks if it looks a little, looks like it's hovering a little too much, a little too floaty here.
My issue is it stays on the ground a little too long.
Stays on the ground? Okay. Alright, so is there a ease in, ease out on the ground key?
No, I only kept it on the highest.
On the highest? Okay, alright. So let's try, well, taking away some keyframes from in between here. So, I mean, for your ground keys,
Oh, okay, I didn't
maybe
think
we
about
squeeze
that.
them together instead of stretch them apart. Yeah.
Well, you said delete them, delete one of them. A few.
No, no, no. Like squeezing the keyframes together. And I'll make it
Oh,
faster.
Yeah, that helps.
Cool. Cool. Well, come on, computer, chugging along. Oh, there it is. It's crashed. All right. And sometimes it'll crash if you're doing a little too much. Let me see if I got an autosave. Oh yeah, so that's another thing. Yeah, save early and save often, man. Can't trust these programs with hours of work.
Well, that sucks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, it does. Let's see. It doesn't happen often on After Effects as much as other ones. Looks like there's no real autosave here. Yep, that's color grading. Yep, that's that. That's my project. Okay, yeah. So save early and save often, guys. This this is really important. I couldn't tell you much about autosave for After Effects here. Um, all right, cool. All right. So any questions? Anything you want me to go over right quick?
Not really. I think I
Not
just
really.
gotta play with it more because I don't know. I'm still having trouble with that hang on the peaks for some reason. When I bring them in.
Okay, yeah. So just adjusting the frames. It takes a lot of tweaking. Like
Mm-hmm.
the human eye can tell if things are off by like a frame because you know what a natural ball bounce looks like. So it just takes a lot of like, small refining here and there to get it to look good. So yeah, that'll be homework for next class is to go ahead and iron out your positional keyframes. And then we're going to get into squash and stretch, which is scale and rotation. And get into keying those in and then making it look good. All right. Um, yeah. Any other questions? Nope. All squared away. Okay. All right, guys. So just let me know if you need any help. You've got my number. I'm always looking at my phone for emails. And yeah, I'll be looking for the a good ball bounce for next class.
All right. And we're back to 12 on Thursday, right?
Yeah, yeah, and back to
Right.
12.
I'm gonna have to miss that one again because I was able to get Thursday off my schedule just yet. Should be next week, but you're gonna have the presentation up too.
Right, right. It'll
Okay.
be up. Okay. All right, guys. Y'all take care. It was good seeing you.
Perfect.
You too. Bye.
You too. Bye bye.
Take care.